Okay, so let's talk a little bit about hybridity and power. So we want to talk about this notion of hybridity and hegemony. Hegemony is a term that gets used a lot. Searles uses it in the book, but we want to talk a little bit more about hegemony so you can understand this idea of hegemony maybe a little bit more clearly. So here's a definition of hegemony by Ernesto Laclau. And so I'll just read this out loud to you. A class is hegemonic, not so much to the extent that it is able to impose a uniform conception of the world on the rest of society, but to the extent that it can articulate different versions of the world in such a way that their potential antagonism, right, the difference, is neutralized. So we can say it in a way that there looks like there is no difference. And that, but normally, right, when we say it, we're favoring one culture over another. And we often see this when we're talking about hybridity with regards to cultures. People like to think of hybridity as this wonderful melting pot where there's everything's coming together and it's blending and you're stirring it up and you say, wow, look at this beautiful enriched area of all of these different things. And that as a result, what that ends up doing is it ends up negotiating away the power. And but power always needs to be a part of it, always needs to be in our mind. We always need to be understanding that, in fact, certain cultures are privileged over other cultures in any hybrid connection. It is not an equal one-to-one situation. And so it's important to be able to think about that and to understand that relationship of power. And the issue with hegemony is when when the connection happens in a way that we forget about these relationships of power, when we forget that one culture is privileged over another. And so when we think about hybridity, and this is what I want to try to get you to think about, is hybridity as a process in the sense of how are things coming together, how are these kind of hybrid meanings developing, and to understand that it's always a constant relationship of difference, of these different ideas, these different cultures coming together, and that the focus should be on the process of hybridity. Is are we talking about hybridity from an adhesion mindset? Are we talking hybridity from a diffusion mindset? What is the process of hybridity as opposed to the product of hybridity? That the product doesn't become all that important when we consider the fact that things are very, very fluid with regards to these connections and these relationships. So we want to be more focused on the process of hybridity and to say how is hybrid meaning being created as opposed to what is the hybrid meaning that is created. Thank you and have a great day.